Hey everybody, this is Dashboard Portable Workshop. I'm Rob, and in this video, I'm going to cover how you will assemble your guide rail bracket set. So first thing, let's identify what you've received. So we have here a couple of universal setup blocks, and we talk about those in another video. They go with the bench dogs. This is what we call the pin cert. This installs in your rail, just like this. It drops down on the front bracket, and it fits over that locating pin to make a perfect fit with no slop side to side. So don't forget to use that. Now, this is what we call the axle yoke assembly for the rear bracket, and this is the pivot plate for the rear bracket. This is what we call a pressure bar, also goes with the rear bracket, comes with its own special screw. This is the pin plate for the front bracket, the pin block for the front bracket. These two are the same part. We call them risers. They are the thing that goes up and down, so you can adjust the height of your brackets depending on the thickness of your workpiece. They have their own two screws. And these are what we call T-bars. They are for mounting. They will install on these, the base plates, and allow you to slide in to the tracks on your table, or our table, preferably, for mounting. We have also included two T-bolts for the front bracket in case you are mounting the front bracket on one of our outriggers, because it requires a smaller fastener to go into this slot. We have a selection of blue knobs, 6 knobs with holes and 2 knobs with studs, some black plastic washers, and 2 big metal washers. So the first thing we'll do is we'll take this wrench, which you also received, and this one, and put some tension on the yoke axle assembly. Now these come deliberately not tightened to final tension. This is going to be something that you will set according to your preference, because when the rail is on your rear bracket, there's a lot of leverage acting here. And so you can tighten this depending on how much resistance you want when you're pivoting up the guide rail. So it's a good practice at this point to make it really tight, like tight enough that you almost can't move it with your fingers, because the torque that goes on here when the rail is on is going to be greatly amplifying that force. And so you can adjust it again once this is assembled and you have your rail on if you want. But you can see I can't even move this now. Anyway, that's a good start. So let's take the riser. We'll do the rear bracket first. So we'll put the yoke axle assembly on the riser. So we've got this cutout here. That's going to face down toward the floor. So the riser is up. You can see the logo is here at the bottom. So it's just going to go like this, which means we just line these holes up in the back. And you'll take one of these screws that comes for the risers and just get that started in there. And I like to get the other one started also before I tighten either of them all the way. And then take your hex wrench. This is 5/32. You can also use 4mm. Both will work. So I'll just get those started and then crank them down nice and tight. And then that is installed. That's in good shape. So now we can put the pivot plate onto the axle yoke assembly. And so you see we've got this cut out here in the plate. It fits over this neck on the axle, just like that. And you can see those holes line up. There's a little bit of side-to-side play there, but this will be self-centering. So we're going to take these short flathead screws, and again, same kind of situation as we did before. I like to get them started before I nail down either one of them. So there, those are doing well. We'll tighten that and tighten this one. Okay, that's all set. So now we've got our basic pivoting assembly. And now we want to put the pressure bar on. So we have a couple sets of holes for that. And since I'm going to be setting this up for a Festool style rail, that's this set of holes. If you have a DeWalt rail, that's this set of holes. If you have a Bosch Mafell style rail, that's going to be these other holes that are sort of asymmetrical here, and we'll talk about that in another video. But in this case, I'm just setting up for a Festool style rail, which covers Makita, Milwaukee, PowerTech, etc. They all have the slot basically in the same place relative to where the cutting happens. So you're going to put this through these two holes here. And so now we've got this hole, which is threaded, right? We can see it through there. That's what this screw is for. You can see here, these two other studs can move a little bit. This is how we allow for some adjustment to what is potentially imperfect arrangements in any table you might have to make sure that you can get your guide rails nice and square to the grid of holes. So the purpose of this screw is only to limit how far you can raise this when you're installing a rail. And so it's a good practice to put a little bit of thread lock on the end of the screw before you install it into the pressure bar. Because if you don't, it can work itself loose over time, and then its effectiveness is going to be greatly limited. So what you want to do in terms of how far you drive this is you want it to come just even with the top of the pressure bar, okay? Don't have it protruding. And so you've got thread lock on it, and this is where you want to leave it. Now, it might take a little while for your thread lock to set up, so you might want to just, give it 20 minutes or something before you actually use this so that it's solid and in place. Now, we're going to take these big washers, put those on the studs, and put a blue knob on each one of those. That's how you're going to apply pressure to the bar and hold on to the rail. Okay, so that's all set. We'll just let that thread lock set up, and we will start on the front bracket. So this is a bit simpler. We have another riser, and we have this, which is called the pin block. That's going to attach right here, just like we did with the axle yoke assembly. Same kind of screws, same process. Just get one started, get the other one started, and then finish them with the wrench. If I can get that in there. There we go. Nice and solid. Nice and solid. Okay, that's all set. Now, we have these very small screws, flatheads. These are going to connect the pin plate to the pin block. But before we do that, we're going to put the locating pin on here because you get a little easier access to the screw if it's not already attached here. So you can see we have choice of two holes. And in this case, I'm doing, again, Festool style setup. You're going to use this hole away from the notch. This hole is for DeWalt, which is closer to the notch. In this case, I'm just doing Festool like I said. So screw, that button head screw goes through there. I have a number 2 Phillips, and I'll just put that there. Make sure I'm holding it all together, and then start that pin on there, and this will the pin will kind of grab the plate and not really spin much. The pin is stainless steel, and the plate is aluminum. So you should periodically check this screw, because sometimes with a lot of use that it can come loose. An alternative is to use thread lock, but if you ever have a problem, it's going to be extremely hard to get apart. So just keep that in mind. Check it every so often. Make sure it's tight. Now, let's just mount the pin plate on the pin block. So I'm installing it as you would see it as an operator's, right? So the front of the table, the notch is over here. So now we'll just take these little screws, do the same thing. I've got my number 2 screwdriver, get those started. Just like the others. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. That's all set. So now we can put these on the base plates. So for the front bracket, you will install it so the notch is always down, okay? And this is a tongue and groove setup here. You can see one just fits in the other with high precision. And that's where you're gonna use the knob that has a stud on it, plus a washer. So put the washer on the knob, thread that in the hole. That's all there is to it. This is gonna govern your motion up and down as you're using it, setting it to the height to correspond with different materials you're cutting. Now, the T-bar, we have a series of holes depending on which type of table you have. And there's a diagram that you received in your box that will tell you which set is best for your table. I use the top set for dashboard table. And so very simply through there and a black washer and a black washer and then a knob and a knob. And that's ready for work. Now again, if you do want to use it on the front of an outrigger, you will replace the pressure bar with these T-bolts in the relevant set of holes and use the same knobs and washers. So front bracket is all set. Rear bracket can be the same, can be different. Now if you're using this on any table that's not a dashboard, you want the notch to be down. If you're mounting it on the dashboard, you want the notch to be up. So I'm gonna mount this on a dashboard, so I'll just do this. Same thing. Stud knob, washer, into the hole. That's ready to go. And the T-bar goes in this top set of holes, for me in this case, and put a washer on, and a washer, and a knob. And this is in business. Now, one other thing to mention about some hardware that you received, we're all set there. Again, you might not need to adjust the pivoting tension when you get your rail on. These 4 screws were included. These are only for use if you are mounting your guide rail brackets on a Festool MFT3. There is a special video about that, which will be linked. But now, we have one fully assembled set of dashboard guide rail brackets. And thanks for watching.